Alright, here we finally go. Just 4 months late. I'm going to be ranking the Sunk Cost Fallacy album. Obviously, subjective opinions within. I spent way too much time writing this thing out. I yapped more than I needed to, considering that most of the time was just going to be me speaking rather than reading. But I also spent way too much time on formatting, so whatever. Let's just get into it. So, I don't think this is going to come as any surprise, but Try Hard is absolutely the top track here for me. It is absolute cinema. We rarely get Fox Stevenson breakbeat. Like, I think you could count on one hand the breakbeat from the Fox Stevenson discography, but all of it is good. Hello is good, California is good. There's not any others. I think Simple Life could be considered breakbeat, and it is also fantastic. But this one is also amazing. I definitely rank it above California, and I love California so much. It is very, very high up in my overall song ranking. But now, yeah, I actually said it there that it's top 3 of the first album. Try Hard goes above and beyond it completely. It's actually remarkably great. Over time, I could consider it making it. I could consider it being within my top Fox Stevenson releases all time, but I don't know yet. It's 6 months is not enough time to really say for sure. I think there's no doubt that this is the best breakbeat that's ever been put out by Stan. There's not much competition, and this is a plea that there is more breakbeat that Stan makes instead of waiting another 5 years. Although in the Discord he said that there was plans to do more. Whether or not that comes to fruition is yet to be seen, but 10 out of 10. Cinema. The second track, I actually debated on this quite a lot. These top 4 tracks changed around a lot until the final version, but I think it has to go to Road to Nothing. This was one of the legendary IDs of yore. It has existed for a very long time. 5 years. I thought it was longer than that, but it was only 5 years. And it was kind of just always there. And there was eventually a newish version that was relatively similar to the final version that was played in 2021. This was pre-Bitwig, so it wasn't the final production version, clearly. It was kind of kept in silence for a long time. Man, my voice shakes a lot more than it needs to. I'm not like nervous or anything, but I just have a shaky voice. Anyway, during the Chicago show, which I did go to this year, and I got to meet a lot of people from the community, maybe some of you watching now. That was awesome. The show is a little not my tempo, but it was a good trip overall. And during it, or prior to the show I went to, I had heard bits and pieces from previous shows, which first kind of keyed me into what the second drop was like. I got to hear it mostly in full at the Chicago show itself when it was played by the live band, and holy hell, it is good. I had my phone recording in my pocket at the time because, I had to jump. And I would replay the recording a little bit afterwards, and I still loved it. And it's become kind of something I associate with that trip, and has already generated a kind of nostalgia for the Chicago trip. Not to mention, it is an amazing dubstep track, and dare I say, the top Fox Stevenson dubstep track of all time, which previously for me went to Rocket, and I thought nothing would ever overtake that, but this, I'm relatively confident in saying that it does. I didn't really put much about the track itself in this slide, did I? But the sound design is awesome. I love the second verse and the little breakdown afterwards, because I kind of wasn't expecting that. Usually there's not a post-verse breakdown. I guess you could sort of maybe call it a bridge, although it's not really what I'd consider a classical bridge. But anyway, and the second drop, which is, in my opinion, from what I consider unique, the only unique second drop in this entire album, I'll get to that later, is awesome. I don't think there's ever been a Fox Stevenson track that did the whole dubstep to double time thing. It's a reasonably common thing in other dubstep tracks, but not in this one, not in Fox Stevenson discography. Also, I made this little graphic myself by taking a road road picture from online and just editing the yellow lines. I'm not capturing my cursor right now, but and maybe I should have, but whatever. So, my number 3 spot is Told You So. This is an amazing track. It really feels like the Cavalier of this album. It has a very large number of sound design similarities, but I like it infinitely more than I liked Cavalier, although Cavalier was also still a good song. The vocals in the chorus are like beyond amazing. I love it. And they remind me sort of Victory Over Truth's choruses. And I also really love the verses, which they have consistent message and tone throughout all of them. And I really like the overall dark sound design throughout it, throughout the track as a whole. I'm usually drawn to these kinds of vibes. And I sort of glossed over it from the album premiere stream. But when I listened to it again later, I was like, wait a minute, this is incredible. How did I not notice it during the stream? But it is an instant favorite. And there's not a single criticism I have of this track, which, if you know the way I tend to, talk about tracks, this really says a lot. I have nothing but positive to say about this one. Although I rank Try Hard and Road to Nothing higher because I like those genres a little more. This slide was put together before I actually fixed the ranking. Told You So used to be number 2, and then it went down to number 4, and now it's at number 3. And one of the things I really love about this track is this little sound bite from it. And I'll play you it. Like that's amazing. I love that. I don't know what it is, but it happens throughout the track, and it sounds so good. My number 4 spot is Yas. And this was an unexpected one for me. I did not expect to like this as much as I do. And I also didn't expect it to be up with the very top tracks in the ranking. I wasn't really much of a fan of the ID form. I didn't really jive with the chorus. I thought it was a little dumb. And so I had low expectations here. And in this situation, that was a good thing, because those expectations were exceeded far beyond what I would have ever expected. I love the bass in the choruses. It's really well designed and really feels satisfying. I also love the verses. And this is especially something I like with the first verse. And that is because a lot of what's said there kind of resonates with me. Because of personal experiences that I won't get into the nitty gritty of, but sometimes life is just shit. And it does a really good job of portraying how it feels when life is shit. And I think that kind of thing really resonates with me. I also love the little guitar melody that happens between the two first verses. That's really nice. First verses. The two main verses, I mean. Unfortunately, though, I do have one main criticism. It's that I am not a fan of the sudden volume disparity in the vocals when the bridge starts compared to the choruses. Vocals in the bridge are noticeably quieter than in the rest of the track, and I find that super jarring and just kind of questionable. Like, why? I see no good reason why this happens, and it's hard to focus on those vocals when they're quiet and the instrumental feels relatively louder than the vocals. I have a little example to show you what I mean here. So there's that one. Here's the last build-up. I don't know why the volume keeps resetting on these. I had them set somewhere so consistent, and then they didn't work. That should be it. Apologies for the random volume problems. I don't know why that happened. My number 5 spot has to go to Curtain Call. This one is another cinema track, and it sits in the very top tier of Fox Stevenson house tracks, with the likes of Get Through and Perfect Lie, although it does sit behind those two, with Perfect Lie probably being at the very top, although it's hard to really rank Get Through and Perfect Lie above one another. I love both, but I think Perfect Lie is better. Anyway, it's just behind those two, which puts it in the upper echelon. The vocal style is very unique in the Fox Stevenson discography. It has a ton of personality, and I really, really like that. Kind of reminds me of The Weeknd. Preface, I probably have not listened to more than 2 or 3 Weeknd songs in my entire life, so I'm not an expert there. The only complaint, if you want to call it that, I have with it is that the drop is a little repetitive when it's played 4 times in the song. It has some variation between, but it plays so many times that I think it would have benefited from, a unique drop or two, maybe just even one anywhere in the song, because it drags on when the drop happens that many times in the exact same way. It doesn't ruin it, but it would have been nice. However, there was a removal of the legendary Cat Riser. And if you know what the Cat Riser is, you know. But about 2 months ago, for whatever reason, it was removed from the track in all versions that are sold. It's still on the one on YouTube, but everything else it's gone. Here's what it used to sound like. Wow, 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 wow. I still do plan to make a Curtain Call status post for that one, but that's something for a later day. Here is what it sounds like now. Like, I'm not crazy in saying that feels way emptier, right? I feel like it just feels way more hollow. Like, why does that have to be gone? I don't get it. I cannot, for the life of me, find any logical reason for why that was removed, but whatever. I also included this little comment from one of my community posts, because I thought it was hysterical. You can't have cat risers anymore, because of woke. Thank you, Deloptin545, very cool. Figured I'd immortalize it here. 6 is moving on, and this is, haha, Ocean Song Go Brr. I don't, I realize sometimes I have a really monotone talking voice when I'm doing something like this, but anyway. Putting aside the jokes, this is a surprisingly great song that I didn't expect to be as great as it is. It's been one of those growers that's gotten better for me the more I've listened to it over time. And I really like that sound design in the drops. Maybe they're more choruses than drops, because the actual drops we'll talk about a little later. I love the lyrics and the lyrical cohesion. It keeps the same theme throughout, and it uses a lot of like general ocean terminology and boat terminology, which is like very good metaphors that stay consistent, which I actually find pretty unique, especially definitely for the Fox discography, but for music as a whole, it's a very interesting thing to use for metaphors. It's probably been done before, but it's still good. And there are some other times in the discography where there's not necessarily as cohesive theming with lyrics, but I thought about going into that in this PowerPoint, but it kind of just sounded like word vomit, so we're just gonna ignore that for now. There is a big sticking point here, and I think it's going to be an obvious one for a lot of people. It's the drop lead, the like weird vocal sounding one. It is, in my opinion, very stupid and very jarring. It's trying to go for a contrast, and I don't think it works. It just kind of just sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't like it, and I know there are some people that like it, but I don't. I'm not a fan in general of vocal sounding synths or leads, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. If it weren't for that, I'd rank this probably in 4 or 3, or maybe like 4 or 5, 5th place. Shame. I also made this silly little graphic in the background here. Still keep forgetting I'm not showing my cursor, so I keep doing like cursor body language, but whoa. Forgive the occasional flash of white between slides. For some reason, Google Slides does not like to properly function sometimes. Okay, here's the big one. Number 7, Sunk Cost Fallacy, the namesake of the album. And this is gonna be one that probably ruffles a few feathers. There is good things I find really good about this song and bad about this song. So let's start with the good. Everything that made the ID good is what makes this one good, for the most part. We'll get into that. The last minute and a half or so of the sequence is definitely like incredible, and it's remarkable to me how similar the lead is to the one in the ID. Like, Stan managed to recreate it basically perfectly, and better, in my opinion. And less good stuff. Here we go. This is, of course, differences between the ID and the final release, and this is where it's going to get a little controversial, because, ID Gremlin. But I'm going to mention it anyway, because this is my channel, and I've saved these opinions for like 6 months specifically for this, so I'm going to go all out. So, in Last Drop, the post little vocal section right after with the main chorus, the vocal progression changed in a way I don't really like, and it just, where before it was like follow in a self-told prophecy, it's just like it removes that entire following up part, and I found that a really, really nice vocal. It's a small detail, but it kind of just feels out of place not having it there. I don't really know what it is, but I don't like the sound design on this little vocal section. It feels way more hollow and like empty. I don't know. There's something about the vocal processing that just sounds not as good to me. Of course, it's still legendary, and I think nearly a decade old, and it deserved to be out. I never expected it to come out, considering how long it was adamantly said to be dead, but it's good that it came out. Even if it's different in ways I'm not like huge on, it's better that than to never come out at all. I also didn't really include this in this slide because this is like a bit more in the weeds of it, but this is something I didn't like about the ID version either, but it is long in the tooth. Spending the first half of the song in a really, really slow, methodical, primarily vocal only thing is fine. It's not bad. It's just that I don't really like having so much build up. However, the build up is what makes the last part better, so it's kind of something I'm torn on. But yeah, I could go one way or the other with that, honestly. Anyway, number 8 is That Choice. I'm not really terribly opinionated on this one either way. I do have my opinions, but it's not something I'm like in love with or despise. Those come later. The sound design is very good. What happened to my voice there? Okay. And I like the little neuro sounding drops that happen after the second and third choruses, especially on that third chorus where there's the overlaid vocals. That sounds really amazing. There's stuff here that I don't love all that much, though, and the lesser of which is that I don't really love the really monotone first verse vocals. They just sound... They're made to sound this way, but they sound kind of amateur. It's by design, of course. This is like very obviously by design, but I don't really like it all that much, truthfully. And the biggest issue I have with this track is the bridge. It really feels like it's trying way too hard, and it's like trying to be this epic moment at the end of the track, but it's like just very generic with regards to, epic sounding. It like kind of really doesn't fit any of the rest of the sound design in the song, which I think is the point, but I'm not really the biggest fan. Why does it do that white flash? I tried to go through and make sure that didn't happen. Anyway, Exile is a Habit would be my number 9 spot. It's pretty good. I think the drop is pretty good. It's got a good lead to it. It's got something I don't... It's got the same thing I didn't really love about Sunk Cost Fallacy in here, and it's just that it's slower for the first bit, which is just personal opinion. Not a complaint. And the drop is cool. I forgot to capitalize the I there. Damn it. I swear I tried to go through this and proofread as much as I can, but who cares? I had more... Oh god, that's going to drive me crazy, but I'm going to have to ignore it. I had more negative things to say about That Choice, but I ranked this one below it because I think I'd listen to That Choice. Well, I know I'd listen to That Choice more than I do Exile is a Habit. Still good, though. And if you wanted to go off of pros and cons strictly, I could see this being interchanged with That Choice. I also made this silly little graphic here, and I'll show you that I am the one who edges. If you know the meme, you know the meme. We'll get into that later. God, can you stop being so scuffed, Google Slides? One Horse Town is my number 10. Another thing I made a little silly graphic for. I don't have a lot to say, honestly. It's another one of those legendary IDs, although admittedly a little more niche-ish, because it really was only played once or twice. But it was said by Stan that at some point, I don't know the exact source on this, that he would probably want to put it on an album, which something he said quite a few years back, and lo and behold, he did it, which was like kind of cool, more than kind of cool. It was pretty cool. The drop is as good as it's always been, and the remade lead, just like the Sunk Cost Fallacy lead, is like remarkably well remade. Even more than the Sunk Cost Fallacy lead. This one is like almost a 1-to-1. My big complaint here is it feels like it really needed a unique second drop. The drop, the main drops are longer than most Fox Stevenson dubstep drops. It's like a double length drop. Oh god, there's an extra space between little and long. You don't know how much of a nightmare how much of a nightmare OCD is, but anyway, uh, when it happens twice, it's just like, really, this is like getting a little, this is dragging on a little. It would have been nice to have some variety. Doesn't necessarily ruin it, but I certainly notice the lack of it. Okay, here is a huge preface, because this is needed. These last four have my strongest negative opinions of them all. And I'm not going to be pulling any punches here, I'll let you know, and I will just give my complete, honest words on them. And it might cause some discourse, it will probably do so, but just prepare yourself. And, if you know the way I generally am, I tend to have more radical opinions on tracks, so that's kind of just par for the course. And I don't remember for sure, but I think these slides actually turned into 3, so I may have forgotten to fix the number. I don't remember. Memories is number 11, and this is probably going to be one of the most controversial. There's stuff I like about this one, but I'm really not a fan overall. I think the vocals in the chorus are corny as fuck. They are like way too literal and kind of boring. Well, not boring, but just kind of cring. When I hear the word unlearn, it's just, I kind of facepalm. It's like, oh dear God, is this the best word that could be used here? For the most part, the other verses are fine. I don't really like the way there's like these forced pauses between kind of hurt right now. I should have included an audio clip of this, but anyway. And the same thing with Go This Way, Gain. It's just like a little, like, forced, in my opinion. I'll be more lenient and say that that's just my, like, not my personal cup of tea, and it's not necessarily a nip, or not necessarily me picking at it. The drops are great. I think they're really well designed and like interesting sound design in it. But it's a shame because I think the choruses are kind of cringe. Sorry. What are you? Wow. Here we go. These are the nitty gritty. I hate What Are You Wow. I've been waiting to say this for months. You don't even know, but I hate this one. And I've got a lot to say. So why do the 4 bars that start with "Oh Departed" not rhyme at all? It ignores rhyme scheme for seemingly no reason, and it sounds bad. It's jarring, it's weird. I also hate the line, "They help me find stuff out." It's way too generic and simple wording. There should have been better here. Like, surely the wording didn't have to be so generic and weird. I don't know. That might make not as much sense to you as it makes to me, honestly. And the thing I find the worst offender in the entire song is the final drop, which I think is beyond stupid. So it's got this little over-exaggerated wow sound that just plays the same time multiple times over it, which is just annoying. It's too loud. It takes too much attention away from the drop, and it doesn't really feel like there's any reason for it to be there. I mean, underneath it, the little bits of the drop I can hear, it feels like there's some kind of variation in the lead there that's kind of interesting. But, fuck, you can barely hear it because of those vocal overlays constantly happening. These vocal overlays as a whole can work, and they have worked, which I mentioned in that choice, but these ones are just so overbearing and annoying. I have a clip here of this too. I fucking hate that. I'm sorry for being crass, but I hate that. The sound design of the drops is great. There are some people that don't really like these drops, but I like them a lot. And the percussion is really nice. And then the last the outro, I think I hear a bongo, which is pretty cool within that percussion. I like that. Shame the rest of the track makes me hate existing. That part's a bit of an exaggeration, but I don't like this one. Alright, here we go. Give me some space. This actually was 3 slides and not 4. But anyway, the kazoo intro is great. I'll just say that, so I can get the good stuff out of the way. It's hilarious. Okay, this track it's infuriating how repetitive it is. It is baffling how repetitive it is. And I don't know why in the world the sections, questioning what you know for sure, what would anyone need to do that for? What would anyone do that for? And the verse starting it, and I'll find out what it means to me to be lost without thought, are repeated so many damn times. I'm not kidding you. It is, I think it's like way over 4 or 5 times that they're repeated. And it's just like, why does it have to have why does the last half of the song have to have no extra good variation? Why does it have to keep repeating the same crap over and over? And the second, all this, I kind of mentioned this here, but all of the sections after the second verse are essentially just rehashing the exact same stuff with very slightly different flair. The only real exception being the second part of the third drop, which doesn't redeem the rest of the repetitive mess that the song is. It starts so strong. I like the 2 first verses, and then after that, immediately after, it becomes this repetitive mess, and it's aggravating, truthfully. I wanted this one to be good, and it wasn't. And this is the one I'm harshest with. I could not give it more than a 0 out of 10, or 0.5 if I was feeling generous. The way this one turned out just makes me miserable. Hate it. And sorry about that, because I know plenty of people love this one. I don't. And I've not mentioned that at all, honestly, until now. And one that I can't rank, because it wouldn't be fair to, is Interlude Canyon. Because my personal preference is not purely instrumental stuff. I wasn't really somebody that would listen to SB back in the Free Stuff EP. But that's not because the song is bad, but just because I'm not, meant for that kind of genre, or that kind of genre is not really aimed at me. So I won't give it a number rating so that it would be more fair. Now, I've got a few extras, because I felt like that would be kind of fun. These are some stuff I wanted to talk about that wasn't in the main PowerPoint. I'm gonna compare it to Killjoy, because now that there's 2 albums out, I think it's fair to make some comparisons. There are tracks here that I love, that I don't have strong opinions on, and as I went through in detail, a few stinkers. Now, how does this compare to my Killjoy opinions? With regards to Killjoy, the tracks I love off of it are, and this is in order, Perfect Lie, then Broken Man, then California, and Use Me. Those are 4 really great tracks, although I don't really like the new structure of Use Me. Saying new there sounds kind of weird, considering now it's 6 years old, but whatever. The ones I can confidently say I still like, these are not in order, are Okay, Dreamland, and Cavalier. It might be heresy to say that I don't love Dreamland, but that opinion is long, the time for that opinion has long since passed. And I don't really have opinions, strong opinions on Hold Steady, Out My Head, All Night in Headlights. I thought I would like Headlights a lot more, but I kind of just ended up not really listening to it a lot afterward. And I think Killjoy and Go Like are stinkers. Go Like exceptionally. So I would compare Go Like, or I would say that, what's it called? Give Me Some Space is the Go Like of this album. Both are unbearably repetitive. Although, you know what? Go Like has more variety than Give Me Some Space. Crazy, in my opinion. Uh, from comparing both, I think Killjoy would get just a bit of an edge over Sunk Cost Fallacy. There are more like tracks that are golden tracks from Killjoy for me, uh, and less so on this album. I have more that I just don't have strong opinions on or don't like. Uh, or I guess there's more tracks on this album that I don't like or don't have strong opinions on than with Killjoy. And I'll give this preface and this caveat in that Killjoy has the benefit of having been out for 6 years and having those 6 years to marinate. And Sunk Cost Fallacy has barely been out for 6 months. Actually, slightly less than that. So if you give some extra time, a couple more years, my opinions will probably change. And I think a comparison to Killjoy will end up being a little more fair. So, you know. So, final thoughts I have about this album. Overall, it's great. I have my complaints, of course, but it's still a good second album. And I'd like to really take a moment to praise the marketing campaign for it, which compared to the basically non-existent one for Killjoy is just incredible. It went above and beyond anything that I could have expected. It was a great campaign. There's also the fact that the main album artwork is so good. So amazing. That's not even mentioning that it gave us the legendary meme edged by a horse. Gotta love that one.
I love refrigerators.
Goodbye.